All right, everyone. So we have another one of these 10 times the chances to get a specific epic champion in Raid Shadow Legends. This time it's going to be for Madame Serris, which is going to be one of the new Halloween Void epics. And normally this is something that I would end up talking about right after it came out, which actually was yesterday. But unfortunately, I was too busy. I wasn't able to get around to it. And I'm really happy that I wasn't able to talk about it yesterday because a lot of stuff has happened involving this 10 times chances to summon event. A lot of discussions. I've been taking a look and seeing what people have had to say, their opinions about this event. And I've been seeing something pop up that I really wanted to talk about specifically today that I think is going to be really important for a lot of you guys, especially to those of you guys who are newer and don't really understand the dynamic of champions in Raid Shadow Legends. So if you take a look at the event, it functions very similar to a lot of the other 10 times the chances to get a certain champion event. It's not double rates. Very important, guys. I will say this once again. If you go to the actual summoning rates, you'll see they are all back to normal. The ×2 for Ancient Shards event that we had going on did end, and very important difference is the 10 times chances to get a specific champion is just for that specific chances. It does not increase your overall odds to get an epic or a legendary. Those will stay the same. The only thing that it does is it increases your odds to get this specific champion in comparison to all the other champions that you could get. So you still have to get really lucky and pull either an epic or, if you're extremely lucky, a legendary. But when you do pull an epic, normally every champion should be weighted evenly. At least that's what Polarium said a while ago. I don't know if they've made any changes to this. You guys can have rumors if this is true or not, but every champion is supposed to be evenly weighted. But when these events are running, that is not the case. Because we have a 10 times the chance of summoning Madame Serris, now you're going to be 10 times more likely to get her in comparison to every other epic Void champion when you do get lucky and you do manage to land on that 8% chance, I believe is what it was. So it's not 16, it's still just a regular 8%. And I think that the wording that they use for these events is a little bit confusing. I mean, I understand it. It makes sense if you think about it, but I still think there are some newer players who don't fully understand that this event does not increase your chances of getting epics and legendaries by 10 times. It's just for that specific champion. So we've had a few of these pop up now. The first one that we had was for Gorgrab, and that one was from an Ancient Shard. So the last two that we've had, though, revolving around epics from Void Shards. Now, I will say this, the Void Shard ones are a little bit better, and I'll get into the details in a second. When you take a look at the math and the numbers, the Ancient Shard one that we had, Gorgrab, was really just it was bait. You absolutely did not want to pull on that. Not saying Gorgrab is bad. He's a fantastic champion, but because there are just so many non-Void epics in the Ancient Shard champion pool, even with the 10 times chance, your chances of getting him were still super low. They should have made it maybe 25 the chance, or 50, or 100, or something else crazy. 10 times was not enough. It works decently for Void epics because there are not as many of them, but for Ancient epics, non-Voids, doesn't really work very well. Now, what I wanted to focus on talking about in this video today, which is something I've seen to pop up quite a bit on things like the Reddit, in-game discussions, a little bit on the Discord, is people talking about Madame Serris, I apologize if I mispronounced her name, how good she is, and also throwing around the word must-have. She's a must-have champion. She's really good. Must-have epic. And this is a word that really bothers me a lot in this game because it's just a word that does not work very well with how pulls and summons work in Raid Shadow Legends. And it also just doesn't work very well because it's quite simply not true. There really is no champion in Raid Shadow Legends that is a must-have. It's not like there's certain units or champions or heroes or whatever you want to call it where you need them in order to either complete certain parts of the game or to enjoy the actual game experience. Now, yes, there are certain champions that are really, really good compared to other champions. Even if you take a look at, say, the legendary pool, there are plenty of legendary champions, and there are lots of legendaries that are no good, and some legendaries are absolutely fantastic. Now, one example I can give, probably one of the most highly coveted legendaries in the game, just one of the most highly coveted units in the game overall, Bad El'Khazar. Absolutely fantastic, amazing champion, super good, and he is way better than many of the other legendaries out there. But still, he's not a must-have. There is no must-have anything in Raid Shadow Legends. Not only are you never going to be guaranteed to get any specific champion that you are looking for, especially legendaries, with how low the actual drop rates are. First of all, without any kind of event going, you're looking at pulling 200 Ancient Shards or 200 Void Shards or around 15, 16 Sacred Shards just in order to get a single legendary. Then, if you do somehow manage to get lucky and pull a legendary, you now have all these legendaries in every single one of these factions that you are competing with. So you can see how even if you are a whale and you spend an insane amount of money on this game, there is no guarantee that you are going to get the champions that you want. It's especially true for legendaries, but even for epics, and I would even say for rares, there are plenty of people who they don't spend a ton of money and they're just looking for an apothecary, or they're just looking for Kale, they're just looking for a certain rare. Cold Heart is one that took me forever to get. Even though I was pulling a decent amount of Void Shards, I just could not end up getting her for ages. And even now, I still don't have a Bellower. I've pulled a ton of Void Shards, and after playing the game since April, he's just a rare unit, but I still don't actually have him. So you can see how this is especially going to be true for epics and legendaries. So when people throw around the word must-have, it's absolutely not true. Not only is it not realistic, but it's also not true for the actual content in the game. You can clear all the content in Raid Shadow Legends with a combination of different champions. Champions are not usually 100% fully unique in Raid Shadow Legends. They offer a whole bunch of stuff. They each bring different unique things to the table, but you can kind of break down the skills of what champions do and see what they bring to the table, what you're going to need in order to conquer a certain piece of content, like a difficult dungeon, the clan boss, something along those lines. You want to see what you're going to need, what buffs and debuffs you're going to need. Take a look at the champions that you have, and then see what roles are going to need to be filled in your team in order to accomplish that goal and beat the content that you're trying to beat. There's no champion that has a certain skill that's like, I need this skill in order to beat this certain piece of content. The absolutely only little tiny exception that I can think of, and this is temporary because they are actually going to be making this significantly less difficult, is some of the faction crypts on the absolute highest difficulties, like the last stage. There are only very certain combinations of specific legendaries that you can in order to beat this, but once again, first of all, it's only the absolute highest difficulty, which very, very few people have gotten to. It's way overtuned, it's way too difficult right now, and Plarium has acknowledged that it is way too difficult, and they are going to make it a lot easier, so that will not end up being the case in the future. So this is really the only exception that I can even think of, and even that is not going to end up lasting for very long. When it comes to everything else, the campaign, there are plenty of fantastic, amazing campaign farmers. You can turn so many characters into decent campaign farmers, and that includes one of the starter rares, which is going to be Kale. So that's definitely not a problem. Same with dungeons. All these dungeons, even spiders, Dragon's Lair, Fire Knights, Ice Golems, there's no specific champions that you absolutely need in order to beat that content. Yes, there are going to be certain champions that make farming the higher difficulties much easier and much quicker, and if you're going for min-maxing certain things like time or whatnot, then sure, there are certain champions that are going to be better than others when it comes to that, but that's pretty much like any content in any game. There's always going to be certain ways in order to optimize it. There's no absolutely must-have champions for this content, though. Now, if you go and take a look, this is a fantastic thing that I think a lot of different people on YouTube are actually doing, and it's something I might take a look at exploring if I actually end up having the time to do it in the future. But there are plenty of absolutely fantastic rares in Raid Shadow Legends, and keep that in mind what I said about roles. Filling a certain role, that's kind of what you're looking for when it comes to figuring out what team you want in order to beat a certain piece of content. Fantastic rares with tons of amazing skills. Just take a look and you'll see you're looking for things like buffs, you're looking for things like debuffs, and as long as you can end up finding a team with the champions that you have in order to fill those roles, there's definitely not going to be a must-have. The way that summons and RNG work in this game is if you are trying to pull a specific character, if you're going for somebody, one character, you really want them and you won't be happy unless you end up getting that character, I can guarantee you that you are not going to end up enjoying the game. This is something that I ended up mentioning in one of my very first videos. I don't know if many people ended up seeing it. It was a while ago, but this game is going to be one of those games where you really just kind of have to work with what you get. Don't necessarily, it's still totally fine to look forward to certain champions. Like, I definitely would be looking forward to certain legendaries, nothing wrong with that, but don't ever feel like you need certain champions. Don't feel like there are must-have champions in this game, and definitely don't pay attention to people on different chat servers or on the Reddit or the Discord or in-game chat or wherever it might be who tell you that, because it is just absolutely not true. You can have plenty of fun and enjoy all aspects of the game with just working with the champions that you get. Even if you don't spend a lot of money on the game, you are going to accumulate your shards over time, and if you end up saving them for some of the better events, which once again are going to be things like the double rates event, which we just ended up getting through with. If you save your shards, if your resource management skills are good, and you don't feel like you absolutely need to get certain champions in the game in order to enjoy it, I can guarantee you that you are still going to have plenty of fun and be able to get through the content over time that you are looking to get through. So this is something that I've been seeing a decent amount of over the last day. Yes, Madame Serris is an absolutely phenomenal champion, especially for a non-legendary. She is a great Void epic with a fantastic debuff. Let's see, I think she was Dark Elves here. This debuff is amazing, but once again, these are specific roles. You have a decreased attack, decreased defense, removes buffs, with a nice passive and some utility. These are all things that you can end up finding to fill those roles on other champions. So absolutely not a must-have. Yes, absolutely amazing champion. Very, very good, especially for a brand new Void epic, but definitely not a must-have, and neither is any other champion in the game. So I wanted to take the opportunity of this event actually popping up to kind of give my opinion and talk about that a little bit. Let me know what you guys think about all this. It seems like Polarium has really been running these events a bit more frequently, so I cannot promise that I will talk about absolutely every single one of them in detail, but now that these events have been popping up, specifically trying to highlight certain champions, I've been seeing that word must have thrown around a lot more. So I wanted to take a little while to tell you guys some info about it, give you my opinion, and share with you guys my thoughts. So that's going to end up being it for the video today. I'm really hoping that you guys enjoyed this a bit more informal type discussion video. And if you guys did enjoy this video and you want to see more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate all the support, everyone. Thank you once again. We are getting really close to 20,000, so thank you. And if you guys want to help out, it takes just a quarter of a second or so. Toss a quick like on the video before you head out. That would be great. Plenty of other guides, videos, tutorials, and fun stuff Raid Shadow Legends related on the channel. Some of them should be popping up just about now, so feel free to check them out. And until next time, that's it. Have a good one, everyone, and I'll see you later. This is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.